Okay, hi everyone. Today we're going to be having a look at the UrbanMatz fantasy building set, medieval building set. It's €125. This set I bought quite a long time ago. I'd say, even though I don't play much fantasy, it's one of my favourite sets. I use it for 40k every now and then because it's pretty good for line of sight blocking terrain. All the buildings are just these nice solid building blocks. I think it's really good value for money. We're going to zoom out in a minute and I've got it all set over the table. You can have a look. I even spruce it up with some gardens and things. This isn't the full set that you see here. The full set is larger on the table. There's a few other bits that come with it. It's really good value, I think. I would go so far as to say I'm going to buy a second one. I have plans to buy a second one eventually. I think it would be nice to be able to make a much denser village, but you still, for a starter set, you know, if you're buying one set and a mat or something, I think this is a really good way to go. I'll talk a bit more about that once we've seen it laid out. And actually, I don't want to delay any longer, so here we go. Okay, here we are. This is the UrbanMatz medieval house set, arranged over a 6x4 table. Now a 6x4 table is probably larger than you would really use this set on. I think Age of Sigmar tends to be maybe a 4x4 type board these days. War Machine 4x4, I think Malifaux 3x3. But if you're playing Warhammer Fantasy Battles, you might be on a large, more classic size board. And I think that even given this 6x4 shaped board, it's still pretty good. Now obviously later I'll add a bit more trees and that sort of thing to show you what you can do with combining it with more sets, but just as a base set, I think it's fairly good. As I said before, this set costs about €125. It is pretty much a direct comparison with the Game Map medieval house set, which costs €115 and contains 3 houses and 1 ruined house and then a bunch of scattered terrain. So I think that for the sake of just setting out a whole table, this is my preferred option. Just the 3 houses alone and some scattered terrain really wouldn't make for much of a fantasy board. So personally I think this is much better value for money, but that's your individual choice. Now on this board I've got some fantasy models laid out just so you can see the scale of the buildings. You can see I've got some Chaos Warriors by this house, some knights on the path. They're just there to show you that it's about 3 wide. A nice sort of blacksmith's house with some Chaos Warriors, and there's the mammoth. A couple more houses with the chosen. More knights. They can go double wide on some paths if you want to keep them on the paths. And the bridge, it's quite a large bridge. It's a pretty huge bridge. Obviously the mat doesn't really match with the river, but I just needed to put one on there to actually show you the bridge. Now you get 3 of these sort of rectangular houses. They're identical, they're just 3 of these. They're quite nice. Then you also get 2 of these nice sort of townhouses, a bit more of a, I think what I would consider a more traditional sort of iconic medieval house shape. And then you get this one sort of blacksmith's house with a little forge outside and the bridge. Now I'm not too worried about the bridge personally for my own sets. I don't tend to need it, but it's definitely nice to have it if you want it. As always, you can buy any of these individually. If you wanted more of a certain house, you could just buy more of it. I've got some War Machine figures over here because these kind of buildings are perfect for War Machine as well. So you've got your Warjack and your Warcaster. Remove the Warjack over here. See again, these houses are good sizes. You can hide probably any Warjack, even the big ones they do these days, behind these houses. They're pretty good. And of course, if you were playing something like War Machine, this would all be squished up into a 4x4 table. And I think that actually, I don't want to say it'd be too much for a 4x4, but from what I remember of War Machine, you needed quite a lot of ground to move around, so it may even be too much for a 4x4. You'd probably just want a couple of the buildings. Now I'm just going to bring in a couple of 40k units. I'm going to just bring in a Rhino, because I personally do think that I've used this table more for 40k than than anything else, because I play 40k. I normally just say, oh, it's an agri world or something, an agriculture world. So I do play 40k on it. The buildings are a nice size. You can easily hide rhinos behind them. They're about rhino size. They're quite tall. These larger ones you could probably get even something like a Mauler Fiend behind them, more or less. So they're a good size for 40k as well. Obviously not designed for it, but they certainly perform the line of sight blocking job. They're just nice big solid blocks. There's no gaps or windows in any of these. They're just big line of sight blocking blocks. So they do the job for 40k pretty well, although they're definitely not the largest pieces of terrain you could use for the game. Now I'm just going to make a jump cut here, and I'm going to set out some more elements to show you what you could use in conjunction with this set to make a really nice table. And there you go, you can see immediately just by adding some trees and some plants, some flowers, some crops behind the houses, that you can turn this set of houses into a really nice complete looking village. Just get some extra bits and pieces off of eBay, that's what I've done. These nice little garden sections, bought them off of eBay. The trees, eBay, the fountain, eBay. Once you've got your main set, your main base set, you can just go around hunting for little bits and pieces, little accessories to really finish it off. I am thinking about getting another set, because I think it's good value for money, first off. And I do think it would be nice to be able to make a more dense town, really fill up these sort of green areas. So instead of having the trees in all these areas, I've just got more houses. I think it would be really fun to have a nice dense town. But as it is, as far as this video goes, in terms of the one set that we're looking at here, yeah, I think with a few accessories from eBay, you can make a really, really good table just with this one set. Now this mat underneath it is from Deep Cut Studios. It's from Deep Cut Studios. I prefer it to the one offered by UrbanMatz. There is one on UrbanMatz that you can buy. It essentially has a circular path in the middle. It kind of encourages you to cluster all your buildings together in a little sort of hamlet in the middle. I prefer this one from Deep Cut because it gives you a better spread out, in my opinion. You can really make it look like a proper village. So if you are looking to get, again, if you want a fantasy village and you're looking for a mat and a set, then this is definitely what I would recommend personally. The Deep Cut Studios mat and the UrbanMatz building set over something from UrbanMatz. You can buy all these buildings individually, like I said. And on that note, even though it comes with a different set, there is another building offered by UrbanMatz. If I can get it off my shelf, that doesn't come with this set, but very much looks as though it should, and it's this one here. Now, as you can see, the roofing pattern, the building style really fits in with the rest of these buildings, and you can buy this one separately as well, even though it comes with another set. I think that if you were looking for a building to enhance the set a bit more, it would definitely be a good choice to just pick this up as well. If I can get it in the light, there we go. That's a bit better. Yeah, I do think it belongs with this set, even though it doesn't come with it. But you can buy it separately, probably about £19 or something. I'm not sure, but yeah. So we'll get back to my conclusion now, and I hope you enjoyed this. Okay, well, now that we've seen that, I hope you'll agree with me. It looks pretty good. I think it's a really nice set for the money. I think if you are, again, buying a board, a mat and a terrain set, I think this is a really good one to go for. It's definitely what I would choose personally and what I would recommend. Now, usually I go over some bad points. That's the point of these reviews. I give my good points and my bad points, unbiased. But, this set, honestly, is one of the few. I really don't have any problems with this set. I don't think there's anything I could point at and say it's a bad point. I haven't had any troubles with, resin being too thin or the buildings being too fragile. They're all pretty good, solid structures. Painting's good on all of them. The casting's pretty good. Yeah, normally I've got an issue, at least one issue of some kind, but to be honest with this set, I think it's great. I think for €125, you really can't go wrong with this set. The only thing I might say is that for me personally, I didn't need the bridge. The bridge is definitely not something I really need in my games, but again, that's just me personally. So I might look at the bridge as a bit of a wasted thing or something I don't really want to pay for. But for other people, it's a nice thing to have, especially in a medieval village set. You may well have a map with a river on it. I don't personally, but if you do, it's pretty good. So that's a minor complaint, and that's only subjective to me. Now the elephant in the room is UrbanMatz. UrbanMatz has a medieval building set. It's about €115, so it's €10 less, and it's essentially 3 identical buildings, long buildings like this, just long kind of rectangular buildings. You get 3 of them, and you get a ruined building, and you get a statue and some like boxes and stacks of hay and that sort of thing. I think it's a rip-off. I don't own it. I don't plan to. I think that you get literally twice the number of buildings in this set, and they're all good. Again, the UrbanMatz set is just 3 identical rectangles like this, but in this set you get these 2 nice variant sort of townhouses. You get this blacksmith's forge. You don't get the little bits and pieces of scattered terrain, but honestly, when you're playing a game like Warhammer Fantasy, that doesn't do anything anyway. All you really need for terrain is sort of move blocking things, and I'm sure that for Age of Sigmar that's probably fairly true as well. So for me, this is the obvious winner. I don't think I'm ever going to buy the UrbanMatz set, but I think I will buy a second set of this. And again, like always, I don't think I said at the beginning of this video, everything I've bought myself. I'm not sponsored or paid by anybody. That's why I'm doing these review videos, to give an honest gamer's opinion for a change. And yeah, that's just what I've got to say. I really think that UrbanMatz knocked it out the park with this set. To be perfectly honest, the first time I saw it on their website, couldn't believe the value. I thought, oh my god, compared to UrbanMatz, you get like 7 buildings and a bridge. It's crazy, so good. Yeah, go buy it if you want a medieval building set. That's all I've got to say about this. Really, it's great. So if you watched this review, thank you, and I hope I'll see you in the next one.